What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again, once again. So the patch notes for update 1.1.4 are up on Bungie.net, but as with every update, the developer tends to take to Twitter to clarify or outline things that were not in the update. This, as you may guess, is actually rather annoying because, well, the update doesn't have a bunch of important information. No, that's on Twitter. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. Anyways, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, me being me, I did my due diligence. And I waited for somebody to post all the tweets compiled on Reddit. So huge thanks to Intrisha. And of course, the full weekly update and the Reddit thread with all these tweets will be linked in the description below. So, without further ado, let's dive right in.
Good counter. Now hit them again.
The last issue on the docket for the weekly update is actually the first one we're going to talk about, and that's the changes coming to snipers. Because one, it simultaneously falls into the good, the bad, and the meh categories of changes coming to Destiny 2, all at the same time. And two, because when asked about the changes on Twitter, it got really to the heart of the issue of what's going on at Bungie. With Bungie supposedly listening, but clearly not hearing. If you're watching the video and not just listening, you would have seen a demo reel Bungie provided in the weekly update, which shows somebody running around with the raid sniper rifle categorically taking heads. The update coming for snipers reads, "In the last update, I mentioned how a nasty bug crept into our scopes and made it near impossible for us to correctly tune sniper flinch. We have good news! That fix has been implemented and those changes will go live in the 1.2.0 update, planned for May. Sweet, sweet sniper action is on the way." Now I should note, just for clarity, the update that's about to come out is the 1.14 update, and the one coming out in May with the changes to sniper rifle flinch is the 1.2.0 update. When asked on Twitter, "Would you mind giving us some more insight as to why the sniper flinch bug will take another 2 months to release?" the following reply was given. Happily, it's a bug, a nasty bug, that forced our artists to go through and do work on every sniper in the game. So, huge amount of work. And it means every sniper in the game has to get retested. Once we figured it out, we just didn't have enough time to complete it for 1.1.4. Trust me, we tried. And everyone except Father Time himself wanted it. But we do have it going through testing in 1.2.0, as you saw in the video. And we're really excited to get it out to you. So what is actually coming for snipers in 1.1.4? Well, in 1.1.4, you get increased PvE damage to all snipers, increased precision multiplier, increased aim assist, increased inventory size. Now, on Twitter, somebody rightly pointed out, and it was probably one of you wonderful ladies and gents, boys and girls, subscribed to me, wasn't it? I love ya, but I don't, love ya. I mean, I love ya, but I don't love you. Anyways, the question was, when compared to rockets, which is an easy one-hit kill on several enemies, a sniper and a shotgun will always be overlooked. Always. It's an easy decision. Well, I guess technically that was more commented than asked, but you get my point moving forward. To which they replied, "I'm not going to imply that I can predict the future, but I can say that in combination with ammo changes, there have been significantly fewer rockets in playtests." Well, Bungie developer, for you see, I have a somewhat proven track record of clairvoyance when it comes to looking at changes introduced into Destiny, and, well, they don't say Joker's always right for no reason. Now, I don't want to come off as an asshole. Okay, that's a lie, I do, but no shit, Sherlock. Saying that there's been significantly fewer rockets used in a playtest environment in which the objective is less to win and more to test the new changes, gasp! Fucking shock! Fucking amazement! Fucking surprise! of course you're going to see people using and testing the weapons that have been changed. Boom! My brain is just fucking exploding with the common sense. It's almost like the entire point of the exercise is to test the new changes. This is such a non-argument, a non-defense, that it's rendered pointless when given any sort of critical thought whatsoever. Because you're testing the changes. Of course you've seen less rockets. It's like, I'm sorry, the stupidity of that just, wow. Oh, God. You know, I mean, when the sniper changes come to the full game, when both sets of sniper changes come to the full game, I'm sure that we will see an upswing in sniper usage in the Crucible after the updates. I wonder why that'll be. Maybe, just maybe, it's not necessarily because snipers are all that better, but because they've been changed and people want to see how they've been changed. Novel concept that is. It's almost like people like it when weapons are changed, or they don't like it when weapons are changed, but they're still gonna try them out anyways. And let's be honest, look at the clear and ever-growing proof. Over the last 4 years, what Bungie takes away as a good change from playtesting, and what the community takes away from the live update, is often very, very different things. But these questions and comments and answers and replies really do underline one huge problem for Bungie and all their supposed listening. They may be listening, but what the fuck are they hearing? Yes, on the most absolute technical level, snipers need to be fixed. And these changes are amazing. Thank you, Bungie, for changing snipers. How then, may I ask, since we're on the subject of playtesting and sniper fixes, did this get past playtesting? I mean, I may just be a casual observer of the game development and doing the concept art, but that seems like a rather large bug. I mean, I'm just a simple country game guy or something like that, but you had to redesign snipers pretty much from the ground up. The scopes needed new art, different systems needed tweaked and changed and stuff like that. So how did that get past playtest? Snipers did get playtested, right? I mean, right? So what? We're supposed to take it as fact that because the playtesting for snipers has changed how people playtest for snipers, that will be indicative of how PvP will morph once these changes actually hit the game? Because your track record for playtesting and what you think is good during playtesting and what happens once it hits the live game isn't good. You don't have a great track record there, my dudes. Or are you simply making a correlation where one doesn't exist with one of the most horrific ways of interpreting information available that I have ever seen? Look, I don't mean to piss in your Cheerios. I'm just saying that logic would dictate that the increase of snipers used during playtesting has more to do with the nature of the playtesting than anything relevant to how good or bad they will be after the update. Is it then at all possible, just even remotely, that we can make the leap in logic that if a bug so terrible that it required a change to every sniper in the game's art assets and an entire rework to the way that snipers as a whole interact with the game, then perhaps A, your playtesting is intrinsically flawed, and B, nobody bothered to playtest snipers, at least not all that much, during the initial testing for Destiny 2. Likely because when given a choice between a sniper rifle and a rocket launcher, people tend to go with the explosions. And there's a lot of really good reasons for this. 1, it's the easier of the weapons to use. 2, psychologically, it's way more gratifying. People tend to like booms and explosions. There's this thing called catharsis. And while some undoubtedly find it behind the barrel of a sniper rifle, most people find it through the fire and forget power that comes with a rocket launcher. Because it's a power weapon, not a special weapon. What's insanity, it's mind-blowing, is during Destiny 1, Bungie understood this. So, Bungie, you might be listening, but you are clearly not hearing. People do not like the binary choice between a highly skilled weapon like a sniper rifle and a fucking power weapon. A fire and forget weapon of euphoric catharsis. People want both. You understood this with Destiny 1. At this point, however, where the community has categorically rejected the current Destiny 2 weapon system, you have completely and utterly ignored the actual root of the sniper issue, of the shotgun issue, of the fusion rifle issue. It's not that they're not powerful. They're not. They're not as powerful as a sword. They're not as powerful as a rocket launcher. And yet, instead of going, okay guys, you know what? It's gonna take some time to fix this, so we're gonna try to fix some other things while we work on it. No, you guys have double downed. You've triple downed. You've quadruple downed. Why? Why? This is literally the definition of cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you just said, look, we're gonna go back to the Destiny 1 weapon system and try to fix it from there, it'll take us some time, but that's the plan, then hey, you know what? People would be willing to deal with a lot. But that's not what you're doing. You haven't said that. So if that's your plan, then you need to announce it. If it's not, then you need to announce it. But at the end of the day, I don't see the point in fighting it because either more people are gonna leave or that's what you're gonna wind up going back to. It's an either or. It's going to happen. You can either come willing or you can just lose your fan base. I mean, it's already hemorrhaged to pathetic lows already, but I mean, at this point, come on guys, like, fuck, dude, you know what you need to do? Just do it. Just fucking do it. Just do it. Get it, got it good? Moving forward. The other thing that I really wanted to touch on, and it's probably the last thing I'll touch on because of the length of the video, is at a glance, it appears that all weapons are getting tweaks. However, here we are once again. See, these tweaks are the difference between listening and hearing. I think most people would agree that the upper tier of every weapon classification not only needs a buff to damage in PvE, but a buff to damage in PvP. On top of that, most weapon archetypes just overall need a damage buff in both PvE and PvP. More so because with 1.1.4, all movement abilities are being buffed. Movement in general is getting buffed. So why isn't time to kill being brought in line? When asked about this, here's what the devs had to say. Playtests have been really good, and it's definitely changed things. It's a lot of moving parts at once. However, like I said, we're not claiming to be finished. This just felt right. The right amount of change to push forth and let you all reevaluate it with us. Another dev chimed in with this explanation. Some weapons are being brought up to be more viable and competitive. We're modeling our ideal time to kill around precision auto rifles. In current Destiny 2, most of our time to kill and pace is defined by weapons due to lack of variety in gameplay. This means we have a fixed static time to kill, which is on the slow side. We're actively going to change that. Heavy, ability, mods, perks, movement, and all weapons are being brought up to make sure the game is fast and spicy, and at a level we believe players would expect from Destiny. I look forward to you trying 1.1.4 and getting your feedback further. I know you're concerned about movement trumping time to kill, and I understand where you're coming from. In our playtest, we and external participants felt that disengaging is not as prevalent as it reads on paper. So, wow, there's just a lot to unpack here. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse between Bungie's playtest and what actually comes to the live game, but how many times have we heard the excuse, this change doesn't seem like it'll be good for Destiny, and then Bungie comes out and says, yes, but, well, there are many moving parts that you're just not considering. In fact, I think I almost distinctly remember that being the excuse that was given anytime and every time somebody had a concern about the changes between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Or any of the other bullshit changes that came to Destiny 1, let's be honest. So, I'll go ahead and try to quantify what's probably, most likely, almost definitely, certainly going to happen. And to do that, we need look no further than Halo. So across all Halo games that has had the battle rifle in it, the battle rifle has had a steady 1.04 second time to kill. Uriel's Gift, by comparison, the weapon that they are averaging their time to kill off of, or the type of weapon that they are averaging their time to kill off of, has a time to kill of 1.07 seconds. If you look at the differences and the similarities between Halo and Destiny, you might be inclined to say, okay, yeah, but Halo doesn't have things like supers and stuff like that. At the same time, however, Halo has a bunch of one-hit kill options that are intrinsic to the player character. Also, the player character always spawns with grenades and can retrieve grenades from killed foes or off the map. Power weapons and map control is a huge thing in Halo, or was a huge thing in Halo, more on that in a moment. So I would almost argue that a Spartan in Halo 5 compared to a Guardian in Destiny 2 is vastly more lethal during the neutral game, which is pretty much anytime they don't have a super, which Spartans don't have. And if you're relying on supers to rein in your time to kill, well, you're already doing something wrong. So throughout the evolution of Halo, one of the most contentious additions to the game was enhanced mobility. In comparison to Destiny, we're not talking about anything crazy, by the way. No double jumps, no blink, no Titan skating, nothing like that. But Spartans do have a set of movement options that allow them to disengage from combat in multiple different ways. In Halo, the jump from classic Halo gameplay to Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5, the time to kill on average has not changed, but the movement has. So how did that affect the game? And what lessons learned from that can we take from Halo and bring to Destiny? In Halo, with the advent of Sprint, both Bungie and 343 tried to figure out a way to compensate for it. Sprint in Halo Reach was an armor ability and it had a cooldown. In Halo 4, it was an innate ability and it had a cooldown. Both of these didn't really work. In Halo 5, they took away the cooldown, however, they tied Sprint to shield recharge. Did this change anything? Nope. People still disengage all the time from fights where they were dead to rights, where They were overextended, and they should have been punished for being overextended. Ultimately, what sprinting did to Halo was exacerbate bad map design and was horrible for the spawn systems by allowing players who just died and had a respawn penalty to still get back into the fight much quicker than they would have in a classic Halo game. And all of these issues are present in Destiny 2. In fact, they've been made significantly worse. Not only is everybody faster, not only can everybody jump higher, but by and large, respawns have been cut in half across all modes. And in the competitive playlist, there's no radar. And you're talking to the guy, by the way, who spent a good portion of his time playing Halo 3 in the MLG playlist. Gears of War 4 is currently one of my favorite games to play. There's no radar. Now, why does it work there, but won't work in Destiny? Well, that's simple. Because Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and Gears of War are both slower and more methodical games. But with the update coming to Destiny 2, you have new issue after new issue after new issue exacerbating problems that have been intrinsic to Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 once they started slowing down the time to kill. And instead of understanding this, they make everything worse by making everything faster and basically taking away the punishment for dying and removing the radar in competitive. And like I said, don't get me wrong, most games, I would agree that the radar needs to go because it makes it more competitive. Destiny, however, is not that kind of game. And again, we have an example for this. Because of enhanced mobility, even competitive Halo had to initiate some form of radar. Like I said, we have an example. Look at Halo 5. Halo 5 is arguably a much slower game than Destiny, with a much quicker time to kill, by milliseconds or just by the sheer fact that Spartans individually are way more lethal than Guardians in Destiny 2. And yet, in Halo 5, where the neutral game is arguably more lethal than the neutral game in Destiny 2, enhanced mobility practically breaks the game. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, prepare for a lot of frustration when people who should have been dead just disengage and walk away from the fight, and regen their shields while doing so. Then again, Bungie has also increased heavy ammo spawns and increased super recharge rates. So basically, it's mayhem, but not actually mayhem. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. If you have to rely on power weapons and super recharge rates to balance your game, to bring the time to kill into a competitive margin, then you are designing your game wrong. Categorically, I'm sorry, you're just bad. You're just bad. The update on paper does have some good points, do not get me wrong. However, there are just some blatantly obvious issues here. I mean, let's just, for the sake of argument, for the sake of sanity, for basic common sense, look at what other games have done and map what they've done to what Destiny 2 is doing. How well did that turn out for them? Gameplay will likely be faster, but these changes will make team shooting more of a necessity, not less of one. The changes to spawning will create an environment where players who failed to disengage are right back into combat, while you're still trying to recover your shield, so you're gonna die from like bullshit somebody spawned behind you crap all the time now, which is not what people want, or it'll just allow them to get right back into the fight, taking away any and all penalty for dying whatsoever. And the loss of radar will simply just exacerbate these issues even further, on top of having the knock-on effect of, well, hunters are losing a huge portion of their kits, along with Mida Multi-Tool, in competitive at least, losing one of its most defining features. If the goal for the PvP changes was to move Destiny 2's PvP more towards mayhem, then just make it mayhem and be done with it. Again, while there is clearly some good changes coming to Destiny 2, most seem like temporary fixes. The large changes, however, the changes that Bungie has chosen to implement will have a very, very foreseeable knock-on effect that Bungie has chosen to ignore, and it will not be positive for the game. They would know that if their playtests were worth a damn. Clearly, they're not. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and like always, stay frosty.